Alright, so I have this older picture of my son in Photoshop. It's just its own layer. I just did an import in. So what we need to do for parallax is create the background and separate our subject from it so that we can move our subject and have our background not show a gap. So what do I mean? If you're new to Photoshop, feel free to reach out. I'm going to use my quick selection tool or hotkey W, and I can just click and drag to select the pixels that make up my son. If you find that it's, getting too much, you just need to hold Alt or Option on your keyboard. You'll see your mouse turns into a subtraction sign, and then you can click and drag to subtract. We just want to get it close. Now, I'm not necessarily grading you on your use of the selection tools. You can use the pen tool, you can use the magic wand, whatever you want. Main thing, we need to select our subject out of here. For the sake of this lecture, I'm going to call that good enough. So if I copy, Command C, and then Command V, you can see I've got Max in his own layer. Now, I'm going to hit hotkey V for the move tool. In After Effects, I'm going to move this separately. So right now, if I do that, I just get this weird effect where I'm seeing double Max. So what I need to do is turn off that layer, and now I need to clone stamp Max out. It doesn't have to be perfect, depending upon how far you want to move your subject. That's how much you're going to need to fill in. So I'm just going to grab my clone stamp tool, make sure I'm on my background layer, and then I'm going to use a little bit bigger brush. Hold Alt or Option to click to grab your spot, click and let go. And then I'm just going to paint. Grab a new spot and paint. Maybe I want to get this chair, some more chair in here. So you can see how if you pick a complicated background, it's going to take some time in Photoshop for you to kind of clean it up, which is totally the norm, not something to be weary of or not wanting to do it. Obviously this doesn't look that great, but I'm trying to speed up for the sake of learning. So I'm just going to do this pretty fast. All right. I'm also going to do a quick crop and just get rid of this yellow table because I don't think that it's needed. All right, so we definitely don't want to see any of his shirt. So now if I bring this back, we can see where we have any sort of errors or where we need to clean things up. But if I move him, you can see that I have some leeway to do so. All right, so, oops, let me redo. Let's label our layers. So I'm going to double click. Background works for me. I'll just double click to unlock it. I'll call it background. So now I can do a file, Save as. I'm just going to save this onto my desktop. You can save it as a Photoshop file. I'm going to show you. We've got layers checked on. I'll save. Okay. So then I'm going to open up After Effects. And I had written that we want 1280 by 720. So we're going to need to set up our composition first. I'm going to pause this real quick to let my After Effects open. Alright, so I'll go to New Project, New Composition, 1280 by 720. Call this Parallax. 15 seconds should be more than enough. So then you can go to File, Import File, or right mouse click, Import File. Now, we have options here. We have footage and composition retain layer sizes. If I do footage, it says, do you want editable layer styles? Do you want to merge layer styles into footage? This has to do with Photoshop layer adjustments, layer styles. We didn't use anything like that. So here you can see it automatically goes to composition even though we clicked on footage. So what footage does, footage allows you to merge the layers, and I would just import my Photoshop file as one single file. So maybe you had 20 layers you were working on in your Photoshop file, but you don't need them separated. You could do it as merged layers. Or if you wanted to import one at a time, we could do it this way. I could do max, I can hit OK, and then I could import it again and grab the background. Or what we can do is a composition. Now if I do a composition, look, I have Parallax and Parallax 2. Well, it's because I named my Photoshop file Parallax, so this is calling it Parallax, but I already had one named Parallax. So Parallax 2, if I actually double click on this, notice I have a new tab down here. These are different compositions. And I have my two layers. I have max and background. Now, this composition is set to be the size of whatever my Photoshop document was. So what I can do is go to Composition, Composition Settings, and I'm going to do 1280 by 720. Then I'll need to grab my two layers, hold the corner, click and drag, then hold Shift, and bring them in. Alright, so now we are ready to animate. So you can decide what you want to move faster, how you want things to work. Now if I'm going to animate my background moving, I need more background than my canvas here can see. Because right now if I grab my background layer and I move it over, you're just going to start to see the empty composition background. So you need to decide what direction you want things to move, how far you want them to move, etc. But I'm just going to scale this up a little bit, move it down, and I'll move this over. And you know, maybe you're only going to do a really small move, so it might not need to be that big. Again, plan out, do a couple of tests, see what you like. So for instance, with my background, I'm going to hit P for position. I'm going to turn on my stopwatch, and I know that this is set where I want it. And then I want this to be a little bit slower. So let's say 10 seconds. And I'm just using my arrow keys, and if you hold Shift, it bumps it further than just hitting the arrow keys one at a time. And now you can see I'm going to need to adjust because I didn't fill in the whole thing, but you should fill in the entire background when you're doing your clone stamp. we'll bring it to about here. And then I can play this. Okay. And then we can start here. I'll hit P on Max. I'm going to actually start him over a little bit. And you could play around if you want to scale things differently. For this, you're more than welcome to. But I'll turn on my position. And I'm actually going to have Max move in the opposite direction just a tiny bit. And there we go. We have some nice parallax. It's a nice way to bring extra attention to some of your designs. It's subtle. You know, you don't want to have the feeling that you're driving down the highway and you're looking out the window, but it brings that depth and excitement to your designs, to your images. And with not a lot of animation, I mean, we're just talking 2 keyframes per layer. You can do more than 2, but main point. So, separate your Photoshop layer into subject and background. Completely delete your subject from the background by clone stamping over it or using the paintbrush and painting over it, whatever it is that you want to do. Then bring those 2 layers as a new composition into After Effects. Now you may be wondering, what do I do with my original composition? We will get into composition organization later. Right now you can just leave it there. If you want to X out of it, you can X out of it. It's still up here. There's nothing in it, so we don't need it. And then you can go about rendering this composition. Okay? So let me know if you have any questions.